Hi everybody, welcome back to Connerty Meadows Farm. For those of you that don't know, my name is Ricky, and today we are going to be planting some blueberries in the ground. I'm just going to take you through how I do it. Is it the right way? I don't know, it works for me though, so I consider that being good enough. Along this row here, we do have a number of blueberry plants. Most of these blueberry plants were either purchased on clearance or they came with us from our old farm. I dug them up and brought them with us. I think there's about 4 or 5 here that came with us from our old farm, and as you can see, everybody is growing and doing well. A number of the smaller ones, say like that one there, I got at the year-end clearance from Canadian Tire 2 years ago. I paid like $2 for them, and they're doing fantastic. I have another one over there as well, and another one over there, and then I do have some down over in the apple orchard area as well. You can see these ones in the apple orchard. These were all bare root this spring. I ordered from Kraus Nurseries in Hamilton. They've since gone out of business, so they are not available to order from, but really great healthy plants as well. These are the 2 blueberries that we are going to be planting in the ground today. I constantly get asked from my significant other, why do I buy more blueberry plants? Well, I don't have this one yet. So this one was actually very different tasting than most blueberries, and they also were shinier, just a different blueberry altogether. Very neat. So of course I had to buy it. So this is one that we're going to be putting in the ground today. And then the other one I have to go in the ground today is this guy. He's a high bush. I have a few of these. I brought them with us from our old farm. I really like this variety, and I wanted just to have another one because I only have, I think, 2 of them from our old farm that I brought with us. The plan is where that pot is, that one is going to go. And then this one, I'm just gonna put somewhere over there, I think. So then I'll have a strip of blueberries here, a couple here, a couple over there, and then I have a bunch of them in the apple orchard. If you look way down there, they're way down at the end. All right, so now that we know where we're gonna be putting them, the next step is to get a wheelbarrow and get our soils mixed. Blueberries want alkaline. They have to have alkaline soil. They also like sand. Where I am planting them, there is a lot of sand. In fact, there's more sand than soil. So normally what you would do if you're putting them in the ground, you would dig your hole and you would use your native soil and you would mix that in with sand and peat moss. But in this case, I'm actually not going to mix sand in because my soil is so sandy. I'm actually going to be putting good quality soil in, just a little bit. So there'll be good quality soil, some sand, and some peat moss all mixed together, and that is the mixture that we will be putting into the hole that we're digging out. All right, let's grab our stuff and go. The first thing that we're going to need to do is to get organized, of course. Get everything out of the wheelbarrow, figure out where I'm going to put our pot, and then dig the hole around it. Now usually you're going to want to dig your hole 2 sizes bigger than your pot. So the circumference of the hole is going to be bigger than your pot. You can see here it is virtually sand. There is no nutrition in that soil. That's why I am adding soil in instead of adding sand in. Let's get this hole dug and we'll move on to the next step, which will be measuring the hole. I want it wider and deeper than the pot is. I always like to put it in, measure it. You can see the pot is down quite far, so that gives me lots of area to put in the stuff that I want to put in, which is the peat moss, the soil, and some of the sand back. So there's the sand that I've decided to keep, and I've also put the discard sand in this pot here. And then we'll be ready to add the peat moss and the soil. So here comes the peat moss. And being in Canada, we have lots of access to peat moss here. Just make sure you're standing downwind. It's pretty dusty. There's my soil. I'm then going to mix it all in. You can just see the dust flying. So the next thing we need to do is wet it. And this is very hydrophobic, which means that it's not going to accept water. So we have to go out of our way to make sure that it's very well mixed in. You can see here, even though I've added a bunch of water, it's still pretty dry. Oh, let's get rid of that. We definitely don't need more grass in there. But you can see it's still really, really dry, even though I've added water. This is not the right texture. Oh, a rock. Let's get rid of that too. This is not the texture that we want. We need more water. All right, so let's add some more in. Stir it up. See where we're at. You can see it's just sitting on the top. Now, I actually find mixing it with my hands is actually a little bit better. You might not want to. Use a shovel, of course. It's kind of messy. But I can get a good feel for the soil this way. Now, this is the texture you want. You want it to be able to hold in a ball, but not have water squeeze out. So I can squeeze it. It'll hold its shape, but the water will not come out of it. And this is the texture that I want it to be. It's perfect. Now, let's throw some in the hole. Remember, we had dug the hole deeper than the pot. And I'm going to make sure that I get this all spread around the bottom. Well, hello, Goocher. Goocher is the calico cat that's keeping me company here. Now we're just going to make sure that we have everything that we need in. Add some more. We're going to shape it all up. As you can see, I'm pushing it to the outside edges. The nice thing with the soil, at the texture that it is, you can kind of shape it a bit, almost like Play-Doh a little bit. And it's perfect for being able to move it to the corners and the sides and hold it where I want it to be. Now, taking it out of the pot, I tried to give it a little tug. It wasn't coming free. So we're just going to roll the plant in the pot to release it, and then it should be able to come out much easier. Let's see. Let's give it a little tug. There we go. Perfect. And it fits exactly how I wanted it to. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to break up the roots a little bit. We don't want to be super aggressive here. We don't want to hurt the roots too much, but we do want to break them up a bit so they spread out. We don't want them to continue going around and round and round in circles. So we break the roots up a smidge, and here you can see I'm still breaking them up a little bit, but we are being very, very gentle with how we're doing it. And this is very important. Don't want to hurt it. The next thing that we're going to add to the hole is some bone meal. And I just add all the way around the bottom where the roots are going to be. I put a fair amount. This is going to feed it for a little while, and then back to plopping down some of this lovely textured mud balls, essentially. I don't know what else you'd call them. It's nice because it's easily textured. And we're just going to keep filling in this hole. Really, it's not too challenging or difficult at this point, but you do want to get it packed in enough that you don't have those air pockets. We will water it in after the fact, but it's also good to make sure that it's packed in fairly decently. I mean, you don't want it like cement in there, but you also want to make sure that it's packed in enough that there's not big air pockets. Few more handfuls here, and we should be pretty close to level with where our soil was. The other thing you want to note is that you don't actually want to put the plant further down than it was in the pot, so you're not going to come up further on the stem. So you can see here I've left actually a little bit around the stem, and there was actually some new growth coming in there, you can see. I wanted to make sure that we were not burying the stem part of it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a moat. So basically it's like a raised up area all the way around the plant. So when it rains, the water is going to puddle in the middle and stay there. Now at this point, I'm just putting the native soil / sand that I had on hand. And then after I finished the second plant, putting it in the ground, I come back with the peat moss, sand, and soil mixture that is wet, and I add it as well to this moat so that it doesn't just wash away. So you can see here, it's just like a crater, actually, might be a better word for it at this point. And that is what we are looking to do. You can see it goes down on a bit of a slant. Here, this gives you a better idea. There you can see it's like a little crater with the plant in the middle of it. And now let's get ready for the next one. Alright guys, so I have one blueberry in the ground here. I'm gonna go ahead and get the next one in. The mosquitoes have moved in, so I'm gonna do the next one a little bit faster than this one. But essentially, remember, you're going to have in your wheelbarrow, you wanna do about half of the mixture that's going to be going into the hole is going to be peat moss. The other bits that left are going to be about a quarter of the native soil and a quarter of sand. In my case, the soil that it was going into was super sandy, so I actually added good quality soil. In your case, if you've got good quality soil in the ground, then add some sand. And as you can see, I didn't measure anything out. The ratios don't have to be absolutely perfect. So long as you get about half of what's going into that whole peat moss, then you'll be good to get started. Now, you are going to have to treat this, and you're going to have to put stuff on it. You can't just leave it and hope that it's going to be good forever. Let's take a quick visit to my garden shed, and let's talk about what we're putting on our blueberries. I got this soil acidifier, which is 90% elemental sulfur, from my local nursery. And so that one I use in the fall. In the spring, I use this. It's a fertilizer mix. I got this off Amazon, and you can see the ingredients listed on the back here. Do note, please keep it away from your pets. I have also ordered granular sulfur pellets. This is just off Amazon as well. I do need bigger bags, so this is not the greatest way for me, but I just wanted to show you that you are able to order things off Amazon to get what you need. And then I also wanted to show you this one. So this one I got from my local feed store for the animals, co-op or whatnot, but I do know Canadian Tire or hardware stores will sell something similar. So you can see, like, they're telling you that it's great for coloring, but it is, again, it's elemental sulfur. It's the same as this one, it's just in a prettier packaging. So that just gives you a quick rundown of what we're using. Eventually, the native soil and the soil surrounding it is going to change the pH of what we've just fixed. We're going to have to keep adding stuff that is going to change the pH, and usually it's just a granular stuff that you just sprinkle on the top. If you're buying in the spring and it has flowers on it, get those flowers off, because you want this to put all of its energy into producing roots and not into producing blueberries. That's kind of something to remember. I know it feels awful pulling them all off. I actually didn't buy this one until later in the season, so I let it do its blueberry thing, and I enjoyed them in the pot, what was left on it from the store, and now I've got it in the ground, and I'm gonna have to keep this very well watered going into the fall. I usually try to plant in the spring, but it doesn't always work that way, especially when you're walking through garden centers and you see one that you don't have. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up, and hopefully that kind of helps you. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to ask them. I'll do my best to answer. I in no way say that I am an expert in this. I've just managed to keep these guys all alive this long, so I must be doing something all right. And we get a decent amount of blueberries. So it got pretty dark in a hurry, and so this is the next day. You can see that to the moat I added some of the other mix of soil. You can see the two colors, and there's the second one in the ground. Now we just need to make sure that they stay very well watered over the next while. And there you go, you can see where they are in the garden. I think it looks great. Hey guys, it's been a couple weeks since I put the blueberries in the ground, and I thought maybe we could just do a quick update to show you what they look like now. I knew that we were going to get a significant amount of rain in the last little while, so I went ahead and I sprinkled some of the granulated sulfur on the top around each of the blueberries. I also wanted to point out, when we planted this was just a little tiny growth, and look at it now. And we also have new growth in here and a whole lot of new buds coming out. So this plant is super, super happy. Let's have a pop over to the other one that we planted. It's also doing really, really well. It doesn't have any new growth, but then it's kind of, oh, actually it does. It has some new growth right here. Looking really good. And you can see all of them have sprinkles of the sulfur on them. Alright guys, so this concludes this video. Thanks again for hanging out with us on the farm, and we'll see you next time.